Hello there, welcome back. This is my best sci-fi movies of the decade list. The reason I'm making a best sci-fi movie list is there's quite a lot of good sci-fi over the decade. This was a decade that was very much influenced by sci-fi movies. They were the big popular movies. So there's a lot invested in them, some good pulpy ones, some more intellectual ones. There was a whole range of sci-fi movies that were worth watching. So I'm just going to cover the good ones, the really good ones I think you should check out. This is in no means a def, it's just my opinion what the best ones were. You should really use this as a list to see, maybe I should try this film out. That kind of thing. Don't take it too seriously. I mean, because everyone's list of the decade's always going to be subject to change. So I'm just using this as a guide to, as a start. I'll start off with Dredd. Dredd's a great fun movie. It's starring Carl Urban. It's also a terrific action movie, and it's going to be my action movie list. So I'll talk about an action movie list because it's more action than sci-fi. But I thought I'd mention it here before I move on. Okay, next I'm going to go with Gravity. This was a film made earlier in the decade, starring Sandra Bullock as a person who was a woman who is in space when the shuttle is destroyed through a storm of objects or something hit it, and has to try and survive, has to get to find a way to actually get back to Earth before her oxygen runs out, and try and make use of what's left of the space station that's been destroyed, and find a way to actually survive. Alfonso Cuarón directed it. It's been pointed out there's some scientific flaws in it, like normally NASA knows what's coming and knows how to move their spaceships away from any danger. This one to work has to have them make a mistake, have that not happen, which is fine. That's just a movie conceit to get the story running, and it really works. Sandra Bullock's terrific as a lead character. The atmosphere's wonderfully done. It's all shot in CGI, you know, green screen, stuff like that. But you can't really tell because it's actually shot as almost documentary style. The characters don't say much. It's just the reactions to things. George Clooney plays a supporting part, but he dies early on. But it's really mainly her, and you've seen her go from someone who's locked off to being someone who wants to survive, and all the different difficulties she faces trying to survive. So it's terrific. It's wonderfully well done. I'd highly recommend it. Next up we have Interstellar. Interstellar is a Christopher Nolan film. It's beautifully done. I've done a video on it last year. There was the thing is, it's a weird one. It's like Gravity. It's a space movie, but this one's a much more 2001 influence. Like it's not just about survival. It's about bigger themes about man's where man fits in the universe. Is man worthy of survival? You know, do we react badly as a society to like basic bad luck and terrible situations? It's all about all those themes that come through. To me, this is Christopher Nolan's most interesting film. It's a director I like. My favourite of his is Prestige, but this one is really interesting, and I think it's very underrated. You need another one which I'd recommend, Inception, with DiCaprio, which also would be on my list of one of the most interesting sci-fi movies of the decade. It's about dreams, beginning into people's dreams and trying to change their view of the world, and try and change their view of how they see the world by going into their subconscious. It's another really interesting movie. It's not as good as Interstellar for me, because I think it becomes too much focused on action beats towards the end, and like dreams within dreams. I don't think it goes fully for the surrealism that I'd like, but it's still a wonderful film. It's still really well done. I'd highly recommend it. But yeah, these two films are really good. Next there's Arrival and Blade Runner 2069, Denis Villeneuve films. He did 2 sci-fi movies. Arrival, I'd say, is a better film. It stars Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner. It's about an alien coming down and you have to get a linguist and a mathematician to actually engage with it and try and find ways to communicate with it. And there's some nice moments looking at the emotional effects of aliens and emerging in a society, as well as emotional effects of how we perceive time, how we perceive loss, how we perceive grief. It's just a wonderful film, and it builds and builds and builds. It's one of my favourite sci-fi movies of this decade by a mile. It's really terrific. Blade Runner 2069 is good, but I don't think it really is as good as Arrival. Arrival is, I think, is a better, stronger film. I think Blade Runner has a wonderful lead performance by Ryan Gosling. It's a great atmosphere, and there's a nice story that's funnier and more human than the original. Harrison Ford turns up. There's some great moments, but for me, the ending is the final moments. As it goes towards the end of the couple of action beats, I don't think you really need. It kind of make it a lesser movie, but it's still really well made. I much prefer this one to the original. I like this one better than the original. I'm sure some people will be annoyed at that, but I don't care. I just like this one better than Blade Runner. Blade Runner I always find a bit cold. Another one's Annihilation, Alex Garland, who also wrote Dredd. This one stars Natalie Portman, and it's about her going into this zone that's arrived in Earth, and people go in it, go mad. Most people don't come back out of it, and it's like hugged into this zone area with a group of other women trying to investigate and try and find out the mystery of this area and trying to find out what's going on. Obviously, I mentioned the zone because it's obviously influenced by Stalker, which is one of my favourite films. This one has some terrific actors like Tessa Thompson and Jennifer Jason Leigh supporting Natalie Portman. The atmosphere is terrific. The ending is nice and ambiguous. The characters are all, none of them are perfect. They've all got major flaws. I really like this one. It's really well done. Ex Machina was also by Alex Garland, was also made in this decade. That's also a very good film. But I like Annihilation better. Ex Machina I felt I was always ahead of the story a little bit. I could always see where it was going. In Annihilation I felt I wasn't as ahead of the story. So Ex Machina is good, but I think Annihilation's the stronger film. A kind of pulpier look at this area is Upgrade, the idea of artificial intelligence. Upgrade is about a guy who is he's attacked, him and his wife are attacked, she dies, he becomes a paraplegic, then someone comes and offers him a chip that goes on his spine that will actually make him be able to walk again. Of course there's some side effects, the thing's artificial intelligence, and it starts to control him, and he starts to do things, and subconscious starts to go for revenge against people who killed his wife, and he becomes a darker person. It's a low budget film with a terrific lead performance, and it takes pulp right. It takes the idea of when you put someone into your body as technology to try and help you, what control does it have over you? How can it affect you? And it looks into the scary idea of how technology is going to affect a human body and the future, as well as how you're suddenly open towards political manipulation. But it's also just based on a revenge story within that field, so it actually works really well just as an action revenge story. But just there's a lot of ideas in there that actually make it work beyond that parameter, really. So it's a really good movie. I'd highly recommend it. Just go and see it. It's wonderful. Okay, I'm going to go towards a couple of mainstream films now. With Star Wars: The Last Jedi. It and Rogue One are my two favourite Star Wars films. They both can count in this one. They're both, I think, the two Star Wars films that actually try and expand beyond what George Lucas did. I think Last Jedi takes a lot of risks, annoy a lot of people, but I found it to be much more engaging. No idea if people have been flawed, mistakes of the past affecting the present, and people having to reckon with what happened in the past and how their actions caused problems. I thought it was a wonderful little film. Well, not, it's a big film, but it feels like a little film because it's all much more intimate than most Star Wars films about the people and the situations. The some Marvel films I liked was basically the Captain America trilogy. I just liked the Captain Americas, which is funny because I have no interest in Captain America as a character. I just liked the way they did these trilogies. Captain America was the nostalgic first part, and then Winter Soldier and Civil War was expansion towards a character who's a very simplistic view, suddenly thrust into situations where everything was much more complicated than he was allowed for. So I think it worked really well on a pulp level. It's a big sci-fi fantasy land situation that Marvel did really well. The Avengers movies also did stuff really well with all the superheroes coming together to save the world and defeat Thanos eventually and all his minions and against people at Ultron. It really worked as a big spectacle with nice character moments throughout. It's just a very well made pulp. It's like, you shouldn't be afraid to enjoy pulp. Pulp's good as long as you know what it is, and the Avengers movies did these really well. And Thor Ragnarok was the funniest Marvel film. It was really enjoyable. Taika Waititi did it. It was just so much fun. So I'd highly recommend that as well. That's another wonderful film. Okay, we'll get Pacific Rim, the Del Toro film. Charlie Hunnam plays the lead guy with Idris Elba, who they're basically control these big robots. Two people to a robot, try to control them to fight giant monsters. It's as daft as it sounds, but it's so enjoyable because Del Toro knows he's making pulp. He's making just enjoyable pulp. Just trashy, silly pulp. This and the two Godzilla films, Godzilla and Godzilla King of Monsters, and Kong Skull Island, all of them I'd highly recommend. They're all great fun, but Godzilla and this one, Pacific Rim, are the two best ones. They just really work. I don't want to go into too much detail about these ones because I think I've kind of covered them a lot in videos, so I don't want to go on and on about them. So I'll take that as has been done as a Monsterverse. We've got The Endless, this really weird, low budget film about these two brothers going to this community that's seems very hippie and backwards, very cult-like, that they feel they were abused by when they were younger, and they try and work at the mystery of this environment because there's much more weird sci-fi elements going on in it. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's really worth seeing. It's some great character stuff, great sci-fi concepts. They did the special effects themselves. They did some really good stuff here. It's a really wonderful film. Just go see it. It's wonderful. We've got Frankenstein by Bernard Rose, who did Candyman. This was an update of the Frankenstein monster. It's wonderful. It's so good. It's so simple. It's low budget, so they don't have great effects, but they have a simple Frankenstein monster who's bruised by society, and it's set in a modern society, so it's taking the story beats but doing it in the modern world. It's just wonderfully done. It's very moving. The end's heartbreaking. The whole thing is just a wonderful, simple look at Frankenstein myth and taking away all the cliches of it and just sticking back to the story and saying, this is a story, this is a tragedy, this is what you should be focused on, rather than all the it's alive things. It's much more about how this monster survives in the world. It's not about how it's born, it's how it survives. We've also got Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning. Scott Adkins stars in this one, you've got Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren. Yeah, those three in a film, a sci-fi film that's really wonderful. It's a Universal Soldier film, for God's sake, which should not work. But John Himes did this one and Universal Soldier Regeneration. These are two very good films, and the sci-fi movies, but they're also mainly action movies, but this one goes much more the sci-fi idea of these kind of cloned creatures who have been used as soldiers who have rebelled against their creators. And Scott Adkins was a guy whose family had been killed by Van Damme, he thinks, but then you find out there's some mind manipulation going on and cloning, and it's kind of a weird sci-fi riff at apocalypse now as he has to go down through modern society along the kind of Saito River to find his cults, which is Van Damme. the original Universal Soldier and trying to find out what has happened, what's actually going on. It's really weird and strange, but it's wonderful. It's in 3D as well, so I highly recommend seeing it. It's great despite how tacky it sounds. It's one of those films that is so much better than it sounds, and how you could ever promote it. Right, next is Predestination. This one stars Ethan Hawke as a cop who's trying to investigate a notorious terrorist. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's a twisty story done by the Spielberg brothers, who also did another film with Ethan Hawke about vampires. But this one's wonderful. It's really strange. It's based on a Robert Heinlein story. And just don't know anything about the film. Just go in and see it. Just try and know as little about it as possible. That's the best way to see it. It's such a good film. And such an interesting, weird film. Another one in that same area is Coherence. This is a no-name cast who are at a dinner party, and then there's some weird disturbance in the sky. Suddenly they start running into alternate universes versions of themselves. It's really strange, really weird. That's all I'm going to say about it. This one as well. It's like you have to see it to get your own take on it. Just see it without knowing that much beyond what I've just said, because that's the trailer information. It's just wonderfully done. Okay, we've got Looper. Looper is a Ryan Johnson movie about it's a time travel one about a guy who kills people and in the future sent back to the past to be killed because the future is so high tech you can't get rid of bodies, so they send it to the past, and people who are called loopers kill these people and destroy their bodies. He's the lead character, a looper, who ends up having his own future self sent back, and he has to work out what's going on and how to deal with him being ordered to kill himself in the future. So it's a wonderfully weird vision. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays a young version, Bruce Willis plays the older version. It works really well. Everyone's giving committed performances. It's a wonderful film. I think it's the film we got Ryan Johnson Star Wars. It's really well made. I think we're almost finished. There are a couple of underrated Disney films that were massive bombs, like Tomorrowland and John Carter, which I'd highly recommend. They're very flawed films. They're weird films, but they're worth seeing. They're very culty. I mean, I'd say these are probably the bottom of this list, but they're worth a look. They really are enjoyable. They're really worth a look. So give them a shot. We've finally got like a series of mainstream sci-fi movies and a one-off. The one-off's Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise one with where he plays a guy who keeps on getting killed during a war with these aliens. He's in a fight, he keeps on getting killed and jumps back to the early in the morning. Sort of like Groundhog Day, but instead of there being no reason, it's like him trying to figure out the reason, knowing it's tied to these aliens and what's going on. And he's trying to go through all these different events in different ways to try and find a better way to defeat the aliens, because he can't survive until he's defeat the aliens. He can't actually stop jumping back to that point in time. So it's a very interesting, weird film. It's really well made. Everyone's having fun. You see Cruise getting murdered brutally, repeatedly, time and time again. So if you don't like him, it's a fun movie to watch, even if you don't like him. But it's a really well made film. Then there's Planet of the Apes trilogy. You know, I'm not even trying to remember which title was what, because there's Rise, there's Dawn, and there's War. And they're all kind of, the titles don't make sense to the films usually, apart from War. But they're all really well made films. I don't really like Planet of the Apes generally, but these films really work because it's just the one story of Caesar as he starts as a child ape, as the ape society grows, as humans fall, and as he becomes a leader of the apes and leads them to the promised land. That's it. But there's so many nice complications, so many interesting characters along the way. You have people like Gary Oldman, Jason Clarke, Woody Harrelson turn up. people are truly trying these films, and you can see like the performances are really committed. Andy Serkis plays Caesar in true motion capture, and he's really good. All the films are terrific. They're really well made, and highly recommend them. So that's my fantasy sci-fi films of the decade. These are good films to watch. I'm sure I've missed one or two out that I could have mentioned, but those are the kind of really good ones that are worth seeing. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to be back with the best action movies of the decade, which are a much shorter list because there's not that many, but I'll be back soon.